Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too as well. Thanks. We're at the Cafe Urbina, right?
Yes, Cafe Urbina in downtown Oakland and 11th and Broadway, and one of the great examples of Oakland's thriving success and future success.
And Rebecca, look at the camera and tell everybody what you're doing.
So my name's Rebecca Kaplan, and I'm running in the November 4th general election for the Oakland City Council at-large seat. I currently serve as the Vice President of the AC Transit Board, where I'm actually also in an at-large seat.
So I asked you this off camera and I asked you this again. I've known you for a while. Why are you running for the at-large seat again? Right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm running for the Oakland City Council because I love this city. And my work history is in public policy making. I have been working now for 6.5 years as an elected official, where I've been learning how to do things like land money for important projects, build political consensus to pass ballot measures, and I know that Oakland can be the kind of city we can all be proud of. I love it here. This is my home. And I want to be part of the revitalization of our city.
Now you came in, let's do some history. You came in first in June.
Yes, I did. I feel very honored and grateful to the voters of Oakland to put that much trust in me. I had a strong first place finish June 3rd primary, and now we're in a November runoff.
And you're running against Carrie Hamill.
That's right. What
is it that sets you apart from your opponent?
Well, I like to not think of other people running for office as my opponents.
You get so used to that after a while.
I know that's really, that
politics
is kind
war,
of
you know.
The system here. But one of the great things about governing is that it's very different from campaigning in that you get to really work with everybody, and at its best you're harnessing everybody's skills. What I believe I bring uniquely to this seat and to Oakland as a candidate for the City Council is an extensive experience balancing budgets. Oakland right now is in the worst financial crisis, many say, of our entire city history. We are going to need to work very hard to find new money, to eliminate waste and abuse, to revitalize our own tax revenue through things we already have. For example, Oakland harnesses the worst percentage of retail spending of our population of any city in California. If we could do more to revitalize our retail, we would have more tax revenue to fund vital public services in the city of Oakland. And those are some of the things I have experienced doing. I also will put in the time and energy to go to the extra hearings, to meet with community groups, to meet with businesses about coming to locate in Oakland, to meet with funders from outside agencies about getting money for Oakland projects, including money to stop the foreclosure spiral, which is devastating many of our neighborhoods.
Let's talk about that. What more can we do to combat the number of homes that have been placed on foreclosure, in your opinion?
Oakland has a huge foreclosure crisis. We have almost 2,000 homes foreclosed, and it is devastating neighborhoods. Also, these vacant properties then become magnets for crime. We need to act immediately, first to demand that the housing rescue program that's being put together at the federal level include funding for the kinds of needs that Oakland has. That includes, we need to provide loan assistance and down payment assistance so that people under threat of foreclosure can refinance, and so that if a property is already foreclosed and is sitting vacant, that we help people buy that, rehab it, and move back in. And at the same time create local jobs doing housing rehab work.
Now, the other question I have for you is, we're in downtown Oakland.
Yes.
Over the last 8 years, what have you seen change about Oakland that you like, and what have you seen change about Oakland that you don't like?
Some of the things going on that are real hopeful signs. We've had a great wave of new restaurants coming to Oakland.
Like this one.
Like this one.
Yeah.
And throughout the downtown as well as some other areas. And that's a very good sign, because what happens when we increase our entertainment areas and opportunities like that, you get more interaction.
Right.
When people come to dine out, then maybe they also go to a movie or a show. You can start building a whole cultural community and economic opportunity in Oakland. And then the other thing that I think is really hopeful is the growth of the arts. And we have got incredible things going on in Oakland, like the Crucible, Art Murmur, some incredibly creative arts of all kinds, musical, performing, as well as people building things. And historically, when we look at cities that have struggled and have had a revitalization, it has almost always included a significant leadership from the arts as part of what has turned around a community and made an area where people were afraid a place where people get to know each other, go out, and it strengthens the economy at the same time.
Now, what don't you like?
What don't I like about Oakland?
Over the past 8 years.
Over the past 8 years, it
right.
feels to me that Oakland right now is less than the sum of its parts. We have the best weather, we have the best location, we have a thriving, vibrant community, and yet what's actually transpiring in terms of the economy, in terms of crime, in terms of job loss and housing loss, we are nowhere near performing to our potential. And, a lot of that I think is because we're not necessarily all pulling in the same direction. And we need to understand that the very same type of program that would help a working family buy a home through a foreclosure rescue, that's also going to create jobs for people who do housing rehab work. That's also going to strengthen the economy more broadly and support local businesses. And by connecting the needs of the economy, the community, and the environment, because we can really strengthen our use of walking, bicycling, and public transit in Oakland and be part of this whole global shift that's going to happen away from a style of living where people have to drive everywhere.
I have to ask you because we have district elections.
Yes.
But the at-large seat is not a district-specific seat. It's more like a mini mayor, right?
The at-large seat is the only citywide policy-making seat in Oakland, and I've been in an at-large seat on the AC Transit Board, which is structured similarly with also the other people elected by district. And what I've learned from that experience is that the at-large person can be an incredible asset to the city as a whole in terms of, one, being able to work on projects that are region-wide and not specific to one neighborhood. Through the AC Transit at-large seat, I've worked on implementing solar power, all-night transit expansion, sustainable fuels programs, the types of things that aren't just for one location. And Oakland also needs someone taking that perspective, the citywide issues, the jobs issues, the housing issues, the economic development revitalization issues that aren't just for one neighborhood. And that's something that I would really bring.
Now, the at-large seat for a long time was occupied by the legendary Henry Chang.
Yes.
What kind of skills similar to Henry do you bring to the table? Or, tell me.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I really admire about Henry Chang is that he's consistently polite with people,
Yes.
regardless.
Yeah,
and
he
does
is.
not
Very
get
much
into the
so.
backstabbing
Right.
nonsense, and I absolutely respect that, and that is absolutely something that I have and would continue to seek to bring. I think that that's really important. In addition to that, what I would also bring are, one, my ability and willingness and track record to reach out to all the agencies that give out money where Oakland is typically very underrepresented. We have got funding coming from state and regional agencies, and Oakland needs to be harnessing that for our vital local needs, from public safety to planning to transit-oriented development. We could be doing a lot better.
So we're talking about possibility. Who are you? Tell me, like,
Sure. Where did I come from, and
yeah,
what am I doing here?
Yeah, and what are you about? How do you have fun? What do you do your days? How do you do? Let us know you. What's
Absolutely. Well, actually, I grew up in Canada.
Really?
My parents.
But you don't say a boat.
I don't say that. No, my parents are both U.S. citizens, and hence I had the good fortune of being born with dual citizenship, both the U.S. and Canada. But
So that means you say about and about.
So I could say both. But I spent many years in Canada, in Toronto, which also really helped to inform my worldview, because there's been a bit of a perception in Oakland that if you have generally progressive politics, that it means you're against economic development. And that rift will kill us.
Interesting.
And in Toronto, people are very progressive in terms of social inclusion and the broad range of issues, including environmental and other issues like that. And yet there's also a strong support for a thriving local economy.
So how'd you make it from Toronto to Oakland?
So my trip from Toronto to Oakland was through Boston.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
Well, I was, but no, actually, I moved to Boston to go to school. I went to MIT undergraduate in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
So you're a genius.
Well, I did well in school, and no, I mean that's.
But you went to MIT.
I went to MIT, and that's not trivial. I mean that's not everything.
No, that's a great thing.
But it's really important because what it means is I've learned to read dense, complicated documents, the types of which the city council members have to be able to read on a regular basis. It means I know how to work through complicated problems. And yeah, so I did my undergraduate work at MIT in.
What was your major?
Psychology.
Ah.
Yeah, which is also very helpful.
Yeah.
Then
you said it, I didn't.
No, I mean the reality is that politics is also about interpersonal interactions with people, and so you have to be willing to respect people. You have to be able to work with them creatively, and that's absolutely part of what enables me to get things done.
Now shifting gears, because I have to ask you this question. How do you feel about sports and the Raiders? And the reason I ask that, we didn't discuss it off camera to be fair, is that I was approached to be on a sport and entertainment committee, which I'm on odds with, and I'm saying that publicly because I feel the mayor should step up. And I'm not asking you to comment on the mayor, okay? But what I am interested in is, we've never talked about it. What about sports in Oakland? The A's, the Raiders, the Warriors. Do you have a concern about that? What's your opinion? Just curious.
Absolutely. Particularly given our economic crisis, we need to come up with a different way to handle sports in Oakland so that they generate revenue for the city rather than lose revenue.
Now, folks, to be fair, this is not rehearsed, okay?
No, this is not rehearsed.
I love hearing this. All right,
we absolutely need to restructure it so that we're generating revenue. And let me give one very kind of mundane example. But when you're walking from the Coliseum BART station into the Coliseum, you do not touch Oakland's economy at all.
You sure
the
don't.
Physical layout prevents all these tens of thousands of people who come here from events from touching our local economy. Now imagine Coliseum BART here, we've got multimodal, we've got bus, we've got connection to the airport, we've got connection to train. Imagine if you had it set up.
Wait, I got to challenge you on that. What do you mean we don't touch the local economy? There are homeless people sitting right there. I know what you mean.
No, but when you walk through Grand Central Station in New York, if you're transferring from, say, a bus to a train to go somewhere else, they make it so that you walk through this area where you can buy food, you can buy T-shirts, you can buy postcards, the whole range of stuff. So imagine revitalizing Coliseum BART so that the area residents had some services and places to go shop, which I know is something Oakland is already, wants to do. And also so that all the people who are coming in for events have the opportunity to hit a restaurant.
It's like a transit village.
To buy a sweatshirt.
Yeah, like a transit village at BART.
Like a transit village
Brilliant
at
idea.
the Coliseum BART.
Brilliant idea.
So that as we're continuing this conversation about what's going to be happening with our sports franchises over the coming years, that our decision making about making sure whatever we put there makes money, it doesn't just need to make money from the ticket sales. There should be a whole economic plan of the whole surrounding area so that people can go there for dinner before or after an event. You could create a whole economy there so that the entity as a whole makes money for the city.
Excellent point of view. Excellent point of view.
Thank
you. You mentioned off camera that you were also on the AC Transit Board.
Yes.
How does transit, or your concern for transit, come into play with respect to the at-large position?
Well, one of the things that Oakland desperately needs in order to be able to harness our strengths is a real transportation plan and a real transportation planning process. We could be harnessing this huge cultural shift that's happening as more and more people are interested in living lives where they don't need a car to go everywhere. Oakland is incredibly easy to get around by public transit and could be made even more so. Oakland has the weather for bicycling, and with some effort to improve bicycle safety and bike lanes and safe places to leave your bike while you're doing your other things, we could have a huge increase in bicycle usage. So the very things we need to do to get off our oil dependency, to improve the environment, would revitalize Oakland, and there's grant money available in terms of programs to reduce global warming. So we could absolutely, by having some transportation planning, which many of the surrounding cities have. City of Alameda has a transportation commission, City of Berkeley has a transportation commission. Oakland does not. The at-large person is very well situated to help guide a process of doing some real transportation improvements in Oakland, which could yield money and a great improvement in the quality of life in our city.
Okay, now let's take these in short order. These are hot button issues I want to get your opinion on as we close. Deborah Edgerly and ethics reform.
We absolutely need ethics reform. We absolutely do. And the recent incidents have brought new attention to that, which creates an opportunity to adopt the kind of ethics reform now that there is sufficient public demand for it. And I think it's incredibly important that we do it so that one, city staff should know that they're being hired and evaluated based on their performance, not based on who they know.
Right.
We really need to deal with the nepotism thing from that perspective so that the workers know they're being treated fairly at City Hall. Then from the public's perspective, we also need to make sure that the services are being provided. You don't want someone getting a job through backdoor connections and then thinking they don't have to actually do the job, and then the public isn't receiving the service. The one thing I would say is this isn't just about one person, and that it's, and certainly it came to light around one person in a larger way, but we have to adopt systematic reforms, including whistleblower protection, you know, citywide, and make sure that our solution is a systemic one.
How do you balance the budget?
Oakland has got a huge, huge budget deficit, and easily 60 million or more, depending on what comes out of the state numbers that are still being negotiated. We are going to need to turn around our retail economy. We can't afford to keep having all of our retail revenues leaving Oakland because people go to other cities to shop. We are going to need to, as I mentioned earlier, make sure the Coliseum complex brings money in. That's one of the things we can be shifting. We are going to absolutely need to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Some of the waste, fraud, and abuse are really little everyday things people don't think about, like people using a disabled placard to park when they're not really disabled. The city loses money on that. Now there's something that's widespread and it's not considered a scandal, but it is a form of fraud that costs the city money. So we're going to have to systematically audit all of those types of things to look for ways to clear up waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're going to have to improve our lobbying at the state, federal, and regional level so that when money is being divided up by other agencies, Oakland gets a fair share.
Now, how do you feel about reducing crime?
We absolutely have to reduce crime. We absolutely do.
What do we do?
It impedes everything, including retail revitalization. We need more police, and we need effective police deployment, because if the police aren't deployed in a way that works, then just having more isn't going to cut it.
Sub-question, how do you pay for it?
And part of how we pay for it is through improved retail sales tax revenues. Part of how we pay for it is by turning around the foreclosure crisis so that we stop losing property tax money. Part of how we pay for it is outside lobbying. You know, in terms of our state and federal and other funding sources that we're looking at, we absolutely could be speaking up better as a city. And it's going to require cutting fraud and abuse, but I also think it's going to take more than just that. But also, when we look at how we're deploying the police, we have a lot of police officers who will say, you know, they often don't have equipment that works, they get shifted around from assignment to assignment before they get to complete something. Crimes don't get solved because evidence doesn't get gathered and analyzed. And so we need to make sure we're deploying the police resources And the other thing that's really important is that we have visible walking patrols, what people call having a beat cop, so that you prevent the crime. You don't just come after it's happened. But the types of waves of recent takeover robberies that have been going on, if you have visible police walking the beat along those commercial strips, that will help prevent those crimes from happening in the first place. Then while we also improve our evidence gathering and evidence analysis, then you can solve the crimes to prevent them from happening long term.
And what do we do about the matter of Oak to Ninth and the Army base?
The Army base is a great opportunity for Oakland, and it's very well situated. Due to its location next to the port, we absolutely need to make sure that whatever we do there is planned so that it is compatible with the port. We have a major job-generating, important economic engine. It has to be cleaned up. We have to reduce the air pollution. One of the ways to reduce the air pollution is by not making the trucks have to idle. The trucks sit there and idle. Well, in order to not have the trucks have to idle, we're going to have to fix this physical setup so that the trucks have a way to stop, pull over, turn off, get called in when it's their turn instead of sitting there with the truck on, waiting in line. So we have to look at how we're using the land to do that. We have to look at expanding support, logistics support. And so the design should start from taking into account what it's adjacent to and how we create the logistical support around it. And then once we've completed that conversation, see how much land is left and put in additional compatible uses along that area. But they should be uses that work with a working, active, job-generating area.
What do you think of the Port of Oakland?
I think the Port of Oakland is a really important part of our city. I think it operates a little too separate from the other needs of the city, and I think that needs to be healed, and I think it can be. You know, I know there is a strong history of community concern about the environmental impacts and the noise impacts, stuff like that, and a lot of feeling that there hasn't been enough consideration of community needs. And I do believe we can fix that, and there is new state funding coming for port rehabs, and those can absolutely be done in ways that reduce the air pollution and the noise problems so that we can have the jobs and the economic engine without needing to have that sort of a rift of how the community feels about it.
If people want to get involved in your campaign, what do they do?
Absolutely. People want to get involved. It's kaplanforoakland.org, KAPLANFOR, Oakland.org. And also you can call us at 510-681-8641. And if you're available, Wednesday, September 17th, I'm turning 38. That's
happy
my
birthday.
Actual birthday. Thank you.
I won't be here, but happy birthday.
Thank you so much. So that's the actual date of my birthday, and we're having a party at our new campaign headquarters, 1915 Broadway, on Wednesday, September 17th from 5 to 7, happy hour, so people are welcome to come on by.
Well, it's an honor to be able to interview you. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Got it.